Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone present. Welcome to today's forum titled, Should UPSR and PT3 be abolished? My name is MYSHA ARISSA binti MOHAMAD FAIZAL, and I will be moderating this session. The abolishment of UPSR started on 2021, where the Minister of Education abolished this high-stakes exam. Well, following the next year, 2022, where the Minister continues and abolished PT3. These two major high-stakes exams that have been abolished have sparked major conversation across the country. I'm here with 4 panelists to discuss these issues and look at the issue from their point of view. With me today, we have NOOR ZAKIAH binti Muhammad NASIR, representing the students, JAZMINA KAMILIA binti JAAFAR, representing the government, ZAYNAB binti RAZI, representing the teachers, and last but not least, BATRISYA binti ZULKARNAIN, representing the parents. Let's start today's forum with some insight thoughts based on this matter with the government. So, JAZMINA, what is your thought on this matter, and why should high-stakes exam like UPSR and PT3 be abolished?
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to the moderator, panel members, and everyone watching. I represent the government and I strongly support the decision to abolish UPSR and PT3. I would like to start by saying that the decision to abolish UPSR and PT3 was not taken lightly. It was based on years of research, feedback from educators, and our long-term education plan. Specifically the Malaysia Education Blueprint, 2013 to 2025. This policy is part of our national goal to move towards a more student-centered and holistic education system. Let me explain why we believe this change is necessary and beneficial, not just for students, but for the country's future. Firstly, the removal of UPSR and PT3 allows us to focus on more than just academics. With classroom-based assessments or PBS, pentaksiran berasaskan sekolah, students are now evaluated based on their overall progress, including soft skills, personal values, and co-curricular involvement. This helps develop well-rounded individuals, which is what we need in the current era. We understand that the amount of pressure students face when preparing for high-stakes exams, especially at such a young age. The Education Minister, Fadlina Siddiq, has highlighted that removing these exams helps reduce anxiety and allow students to learn in a more balanced, relaxed, and healthy environment. Children should be exploring themselves and enjoying the learning process, not constantly worrying about one exam that defines their future. Instead of just memorizing facts for exams, students now get the chance to learn through group projects, presentations, discussions, and communication, which are more relevant to today's job market. This change supports our vision to prepare students who can adapt, think independently, and solve real-world problems. Not all students perform well in written exams. Some are better at speaking, presenting, or doing hands-on work. Through classroom-based assessments, we give all students a chance to show their strengths, not just to those who excel in traditional exams. This system is more inclusive, especially for students who learn at different paces. Many developed countries like Finland, Canada, and even Singapore are reducing or delaying major school exams. They are shifting focus to school-based assessments that emphasize personal growth and lifelong learning. Malaysia is following that path, and we believe is the right one. To summarize, the abolishment of UPSR and PT3 is not about making things easier. It's about changing how we evaluate learning, from a system that is overly exam-oriented to one that values the whole student. We believe this reform allows students to grow in a healthier, more balanced way, while still maintaining quality and accountability in our education system. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JAZMINA, for sharing the government insights. Now, we'll move on to the next panelist, which is the teacher. We'll move on to the next panelist. So, ZAYNAB, do you mind sharing what's going on behind the class? And do you agree on this abolishment? And does it affect the class movement?
Thank you, moderator. Good day, everyone. I am honored to share my thoughts today as an educator who is deeply concerned about the abolishment of UPSR and PT3. While I do understand the government's intention to reduce stress and pressure on our students, I believe this decision may have unintended consequences on student development, motivation, and the integrity of our national education standards. Therefore, I have to disagree with the abolishment. Let me begin with the first point, which is motivation and exam readiness. In the past, national exams like UPSR and PT3 served as structured milestones for students. These exams instilled a sense of discipline and goal. They taught students how to prepare, revise, and face pressure. With the removal of these exams, I've noticed a significant drop in student motivation. Without a clear external challenge to prepare for, many students begin to take their studies lightly. This isn't just my personal experience. Many of my colleagues from different schools, both urban and rural, have observed the same trend. According to the National Union of Teaching Profession, NUTP, over 60% of teachers reported that students were less focused in class after the cancellation of public exams. We are seeing students who are no longer used to setting academic goals or taking responsibility for their learning because there is no longer a final test to work towards. This brings me to my second point, which is the issue of performance standards. Previously, exams like UPSR and PT3 function as national benchmarks. They allow teachers, parents, and policymakers to assess the effectiveness of our education system and to identify which schools or regions needed more support. Now, with everything is based on classroom assessment, like the government mentioned, which is PBS, Pentaksiran Berasaskan Sekolah, they vary from school to school. We have lost that consistency. A student who scores an A in one school may not have the same competency as a student with the same grade from another school. That is because these assessments are not standardized. A study by EMIR Research in 2023 found that the gap in academic performance between rural and urban students had increased by over 12% since the exams were abolished. That is not a small number. Without national level exams, there is a risk that the quality of education in some areas may decline without being noticed, simply because we no longer have reliable and comparable data. Lastly, my third point is about competition and academic drive. Whether we like it or not, healthy competition plays a role in pushing students to do their best. Exams like UPSR and PT3 created a sense of challenge, a motivation for students to study, strive, and achieve. Some might say that competition creates pressure, but in reality, it also creates growth. Many students, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, need that kind of external motivation. They see exams as an opportunity to prove themselves, to open doors to better schools, and to earn scholarships. Without public exams, some students no longer see education as something with clear goals and rewards. Teachers are overwhelmed with continuous assessments and reporting, and many students are left without clear milestones to work towards. In conclusion, I believe that instead of completely abolishing UPSR and PT3, we should have reformed them. But we should not remove a system that provides structure, standardization, and motivation, especially when the alternative is still in its early stages and lacks proper support and training. Reform, yes. Abolishment, no. That is my professional stand, and I hope the government reconsiders how we can strike a better balance, one that supports both academic growth and student well-being. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Zaynab, for your amazing response. Now, I'll move on to the next panelist, which is the students' point of view. So, ZAKIAH, do you mind sharing us the students' point of view and what do you think of this abolishment?
Thank you, moderator. Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good day to the moderator, respected teachers, beloved parents, and also honorable government delegates. Today, I would like to share the positive impacts of abolishing UPSR and PT3 from a student's point of view. This change has truly improved our school experience in many meaningful ways. First of all, it reduced academic pressure. Before this, students as young as 12 years old had to go through months of stressful exams preparation, which is Ujian Pentaksiran Sekolah Rendah UPSR. Some of us went for tuition almost every day, day and night, including weekends. Now, without these exams, we can learn in a more relaxed environment. According to the Ministry of Education, too much exam pressure affected our emotional well-being, and I think many of us felt that too. Secondly, it helped us live a more balanced life. We have more time to rest, more time to spend with family, or even help out at home. Personally, I can now enjoy reading and help my parents doing chores. And according to the Malaysian Mental Health Association found that over 70% of students feel less stressed after the exams were removed. Another benefit is that students with different talents now get to shine. Like the government delegate said before, not everyone is good at written exams. So I have a friend who struggles in tests but is amazing in public speaking and also dramas. Now, with presentations and project work, students like her can finally be recognized at school. Lastly, the focus is now on understanding and not just memorizing. We as a student get to plan and improve our work, especially for writing and group projects. This helps us to learn real-world skills that will be useful later in life. In conclusion, abolishing UPSR and PT3 has made school a better place for us. We feel more supported, less stressed, and more excited. We hope that more change like this continue to support students' growth, both in academics and beyond. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, ZAKIAH, for sharing us what the view of a student is like. Now we'll move on to the last panelist, ARISSA. Do you mind sharing us, as a parent, what do you think of this abolishment?
Okay, thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to the moderator and fellow speakers. As a parent, it is truly an honor to be here today to share my view as a parent on the topic. When I first heard that PT3 and UPSR were going to abolish, I had mixed feelings. On one hand, I understood that the government wanted to reduce stress among students and promote a more balanced, holistic education. But as parent, I also worried without this exam, how would we measure our children's academic progress? Examination, though stressful, give structure and discipline. They help children set goals and help parents understand where their children stood academically. Since the removal of this exam, I have noticed that many students seem less serious about their studies. Without a major examination to prepare for, some children lost focus. They feel less pressure, yes, but also less motivation. Some students are no longer revised regularly. Homework is done carelessly or not at all. Learning feels like a routine, not a responsibility. This worries me as a parent. A lack of structure is slowly turning into a lack of discipline. I agree with the educator's point, where she mentioned about significant drop in student motivation. Another issue that I feel is often overlooked is how this affects students who are academically gifted. In the past, exams like PT3 and UPSR gave them an opportunity to challenge themselves, compete fairly, and shine. Now, without those benchmarks, many of these students feel unchallenged. Their potential in not being pushed, their intellectual curiosity is slowly fading. As a parent, it is painful to watch bright students lose interest simply because the system no longer encourages excellence. In conclusion, while the abolition of PT3 and UPSR may have reduced exam-related stress, It has also created new challenges such as students becoming less motivated, learning losing its seriousness, and high-performing students being left behind. As a parent, I strongly hope that the Ministry of Education will refine the system, one that still encourages discipline, recognize talent, and prepare our children not just for the exam, but for the life. Thank you.
Now, I would like to open the floor for all the panelists for a Q&A session. Now, does any panelist have any question?
Pardon me. I want to ask from the educator representative. Teachers often say exams help to measure students' performance fairly. And you, as a teacher yourself, don't you think that continuous assessments give a more complete picture of a student's abilities over time rather than just one exam? Would you enlighten me, please?
Thank you for your question. To answer it based on a student's point of view, it is true that continuous assessments can show a student's progress over time better than just one exam. However, we are talking about a larger viewpoint here, which is that without standard exams, it's hard to ensure fairness and consistency across all schools. Because exams provide a level playing field, while school-based assessments can vary widely depending on the teacher or school. Therefore, it does not really give an equal level for the quality of our national education standard. Does that answer your question?
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Does anyone have any question?
Yes, I have. So I have a question for the government. As I mentioned before, without this exam, how will we measure our children's academic progress?
Thank you for the question. That's a valid concern. And we want to reassure that parents and the public that academic progress is still being measured, just in a more continuous and meaningful way. Instead of relying on one final exam, we now use pentaksiran berasaskan sekolah, or school-based assessment. This includes class tests, assignments, presentations, projects, and teachers' observations, all done over time. This method gives us a more complete picture of a student's strengths, weaknesses, and learning journey, not just how well they perform on one particular day. And most importantly, it allows teachers to give better support to students based on real progress. So yes, we are still measuring progress, just in a way that's just more reflective of actual learning. I hope I answer your questions.
Thank you.
Well, I believe that is all for the Q&A session. Now, thank you for all the panelists for this engaging and insightful discussion. Today, we've heard various perspectives from the students share their real-life concerns and experience. The government clarified the policy directions. The parents gave a heartfelt view from home. And last but not least, the teacher highlighting the changes in classroom performances. Whether or not that we agree that the abolishment is a right thing or a wrong thing, one thing is clear is that the education must involve to serve best interest in our students, in academically, socially, and last but not least, emotionally. With that, I officially conclude today's forum. Thank you so much everyone here, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and have a great day.